Hello! I'm out doing some training because I'm running the virtual Edinburgh Half Marathon next month to raise money for charity. I thought I'd do a video to talk about one of the charities that I'm raising funds for, and that is Glasgow Womens Aid. Now, I've been a supporter of Women's Aid for a number of years, so I thought I'd leave it up to my younger self to tell you a bit more about my involvement with the charity. Take a look.
I think Women's Aid were really there for me and my family at a time when we really needed them. And I'm very grateful for that. It's a very hard thing growing up in a household where you're constantly afraid. My dad, who was quite an abusive partner to my mum and quite an abusive parent, I wasn't allowed to even be affectionate to my mum because that meant that you could be the next target. And that's really scary and horrible thing for a child to have to go through. So, yeah.
It was very challenging watching what my mum went through, what the whole family went through. But I can only really speak from my own experiences, and I know that for me, my dad singled me out particularly because even from the moment I was born, he thought that I was gay. I wasn't masculine enough for him, I was gentle and a bit effeminate. He even took me to the doctor at one point to see if the doctor could cure me because he wasn't going to be raising a poof. And the doctor told him not to be so ridiculous, and I was only about 5 years old. I didn't stop him from trying to beat it out of me instead. Clearly he wasn't successful because I'm a very happy, out proud adult gay man. We escaped his violence not long after. My mum went on to raise 6 children on her own and become a successful author and playwright. One of her plays, Refuge, is set in a women's refuge, and it won the Peggy Ramsay Award in 1996. I'm very proud of my mum. None of that would have happened without the support of Women's Aid, but they're not just there for times of crisis. I also have lots of happy, positive memories. One of the first Christmas parties I ever went to was organised by Women's Aid, and I remember being really excited because Santa came and all the kids lined up in a row to get presents. I don't know if you know this, but all the workers at Women's Aid are women. So I'm there, I'm standing in the queue and I'm like, I think Santa's wearing a fake Santa beard. Hang on a minute, I think Santa might be a woman. But you know what, it's okay because it's clearly Mrs. Claus, because Santa must be busy. And I got given one of my first ever action figure toys, and we didn't have many toys when I was a kid, and it was from She-Ra, which really excited me. But it was one of the baddies, it was the Leech character, but I didn't mind it was a baddie because I loved it so much and it was mine. Women's Aid really supported my mum when she needed it, and she was the kind of person that believed in giving back. She believed that change only comes through action. So at one point she took a year out of her career as an author to help Falkirk Women's Aid with their Raise the Roof campaign, because Falkirk District Council had made the decision to close the women's refuges in our local area. My mum being my mum, she got all us kids involved, so we were out in the street shaking cans, raising money, handing out leaflets and going on marches to save the refugees. And I think that's probably where I get my activism from, because I carried that forward in my life. And in 2003 I ran the London Marathon to raise funds for Falkirk Women's Aid. Oh, don't I look young and sweaty? It was agony, and I hurt my leg, I swore I would never run again. I was like, no more marathons, not for me, no thanks. But a few years later I was privileged enough to be asked by Scottish Women's Aid to do a promotional video for them. So here's a wee clip from that.
We still had lots of contact with Women's Aid. I remember my older brothers got to go on an adventure holiday and they got to go whitewater rafting and stuff, and I was too young to go and I was so upset that I couldn't go. Then the next year I was old enough to go and I got taken along and I was so pleased. Those are things that I wouldn't have been able to experience if it wasn't for Women's Aid. And so they were really, really supportive to our family. I'm really happy with my life. Us as a family, we're a really strong unit now.
So I've been a supporter of Women's Aid for a very long time. It's a cause that's very personal to me and I'm very passionate about. I fundamentally believe in protecting women and children from the threat of domestic violence. No one should live in fear of their partner or their parent. I speak out about this as a man because my mum always said it's the responsibility of men to change male society. Women can't do that on their own. The majority of violence is perpetrated by men, so it's men that need to take action and men that need to change. And that's why I've decided to run this marathon, despite promising that I would never do it again. So it means a lot to me, and I hope it means a lot to you too. If you haven't got any money, please don't feel that you need to contribute. Just share this video with your friends and maybe they can help. But if you can help, please donate. I've put a donate link next to the video. I've also put information about Glasgow Women's Aid and the work that they do. Thanks so much for listening. I'm going to get back to my training because I've got a marathon to run. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.